I currently work for Stader Labs. We are a cryptocurrency startup. We specifically power something called staking in crypto. We've been valued at about $650 million in our last fundraise. We're a very young organization, not yet been 12 months for us. And we're completely global, completely remote as a team. We're launching on our 8th blockchain this month. Very excited as to what the future holds. We firmly believe that in the future, every organization in this world will have their presence on some or the other blockchain in some shape or form. Because fundamentally, you're solving transaction efficiency. And from that perspective, there is no better space for you to be in. What that also means is today's talent, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more in the conversation, but today's talent probably requires hyper-personalized solutions as opposed to one-size-fits-all. And to that extent, yeah, very excited to be here in this space, very excited as to what the future holds. One of the core questions that we have to answer is that where is the talent that we need going to come from? Because fundamentally, when you look at the world today, the pace of technological innovation is very, very high. And it's a fact that as human beings, we probably can't keep up with that level of innovation unless we are upskilling ourselves quite diligently. The challenge then becomes how do you essentially upskill the entire labor force so that you always have a good quantity of people available to fill up the roles that are being created by these organizations of future. For the ecosystem to grow, it needs to have a very strong, sustainable supply of talent. And that talent, that qualified talent, is in short supply. But specific to recruitment, if you think about the recruitment space itself, and I think this is what creating something like 𝗧𝗵𝗱𝗲𝗍, I think a lot of work has gone on today in the process of talent discovery, but not a lot of work has gone into automating or creating algorithmic frameworks on the process of talent evaluation, which is where you still have fairly largish legacy teams going through hundreds and hundreds of CVs in order to come to that one CV which can fit their sort of budget, right? And this links back to the fact that you have a relatively short supply of talent, and this is more pronounced in roles that are probably at the cutting edge of technology. Right? But since the signal to noise ratio is that high, you have this problem and no one really has been working on it. I'm hopeful as AI and machine learning becomes more and more prevalent, some of these challenges can be worked at. But these are two areas I would love to see more innovations happening. I'd love to see more products coming out. For one, I usually spend at least about a day every couple of weeks just trawling through products which have come out, figuring out if some of them can fit my solutions, the things that I want to do. Because, for instance, imagine when I'm hiring for a role like chief of staff, a role that we're hiring today, right? For that role, specifically problem solving as well as project management becomes very important. But project management may or may not be very important in another role, which is, let's say, more into hardcore development. In general, though, in my experience, people with high problem solving skills, high analytical ability, as well as great communication skills, these are three things that you really can't progress without, right? So similarly, problem solving today, the world is changing faster than ever, and even in legacy organizations there is a lot of opportunity to disrupt, a lot of opportunity to just improve processes, bring in efficiencies. You can only get to that if you are a systems thinker. If you sort of think in a hierarchy, in a framework where when you encounter a problem and you're trying to approach that solution, the minimum viable solution, testing it out, figuring out whether the solution works, and then progressing forward, you will always have a big advantage compared to your peers. Especially in the blockchain space, this is a serious concern for us. So for instance, two of our leading development technologies are Solidity and Rust. Talent in both tech is in fairly short supply at this point in time. So much so that we have started hiring very young but very capable engineers from just fresh out of colleges, 1.5 years of experience, and we're sort of upskilling them within the organization in order to become future tech leads on Solidity and Rust. Right? And to that extent, we are always on the lookout for sharp product managers. We are very strongly hiring in these two functions, and I don't see that hiring pressure going away, at least in the next 6 months, probably not in the next 12 months, if at all. I see leaders as sort of people who unlock value for their team. That's the greatest responsibility of a leader. My biggest job has to be in the growth and development of my team members, acting as a fulcrum so that I can actually get them to contribute more than a sum of its parts, right? Very similar to how a football manager, for instance, I'm a big football fan, right? And My favorite club is Manchester United. It is in very bad states right now, but we used to have this great manager called Alex Ferguson, who used to build out teams without any superstars. And that's what you need to do as a leader. I think as a leader, the biggest trait that you need to have is empathy, especially in the context of the world today, where talent is not restricted by geography. Talent is not just working for a paycheck. Your solutions for talent needs to be hyper-personalized. The kind of development plans that you have for one person in your team will not necessarily make sense for another person in your team anymore, because the two of them would probably come from different cities, would have probably attended different schools, would have had different outlook towards life, probably consume different kinds of content on their mobile devices, right? To understand their motivation, you need to put yourself in their shoes. And that level of empathy, you're almost behaving like a quasi product manager or a consumer manager, where you are actually trying to understand what is it that this person in my team wants from me. The other fundamental work that you have as a leader is to break down complexity and ambiguity. Every human being requires a certain degree of direction and clarity. And you are a leader if you are able to take a complex, ambiguous statement, break it down to the extent possible, and give very clear, actionable directions to your team members. 𝗥�ธ์for me has been a problem solver. I can't give a bigger compliment to them. 𝗥�ธ์was the only consultant or recruitment partner who helped me set up both my teams in both these geographies. And pipeline that they provided me with, the people that we finally end up hiring through 𝗥�ธ์also had very successful stints at Shuttle Indonesia as well as Shuttle Thailand. And as always, best of luck to you and the 𝗥�ธ์team. I'll be a supporter forever.